The massive spaceship, Odyssey slowly descended onto the surface of Zeta-9, its landing thrusters kicking up clouds of alien dust. Inside the control room, Captain Sarah Mitchell monitored the readings on her console, her face lit by the soft glow of the screens. "We're down," she announced, her voice steady. "Welcome to Zeta-9, everyone." The crew cheered, the sound echoing through the corridors of the ship. Among them were scientists eager to explore, engineers ready to build, and soldiers prepared to protect. This was humanity's latest hope for a new home, and the excitement was palpable. Sarah turned to her second-in-command, Lieutenant David Ross. "Let's get the base established ASAP. We have a lot of work ahead of us." David nodded. "Yes, Captain. Team Alpha is ready to deploy." As the hatch opened, the first team stepped onto the alien soil. The landscape was a mix of lush forests and rocky mountains, with a sky tinged in shades of purple. It was beautiful, but they knew better than to let their guard down. Sarah and David joined the team, overseeing the setup of the base camp. Tents were erected, equipment unloaded, and security perimeters established. The scientists began collecting samples, while the engineers worked on setting up sustainable living modules. "Captain, you need to see this," called out Dr. Elena Ramirez, the lead biologist, from a nearby grove. Sarah walked over, curious. Elena was crouched near a cluster of plants, her scanner beeping wildly. "These readings are off the charts," Elena said, her eyes wide. "The biodiversity here is incredible. Some of these plants could have medicinal properties we've never even dreamed of." Sarah smiled. "That's promising news. Keep me updated." As the day turned into night, the base was nearly operational. The crew gathered around a makeshift dining area, sharing their discoveries and speculations about their new home. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. Suddenly, a distant roar echoed through the night, causing everyone to fall silent. Sarah exchanged a wary glance with David. "What was that?" whispered one of the engineers. "No idea," David replied, "but we should double the night watch." The team dispersed, each member keenly aware of the unknown dangers that might lurk in the darkness. Sarah stayed up late, monitoring the perimeter and thinking about the potential challenges ahead. The next morning, the team set out to explore further. They ventured into the dense forests, scanning for resources and mapping the terrain. The excitement of discovery was tempered by the constant sense of being watched. As they moved deeper into the forest, they came across signs of something unexpected. Traces of an advanced civilization, strange markings on trees, remnants of structures, and faint energy readings suggested they were not alone on Zeta-9. "Captain, we need to proceed with caution," David advised. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." Sarah nodded. "Agreed. Let's head back to base and regroup. We need a plan." The team returned to base with a newfound sense of urgency. Sarah gathered everyone for a meeting, laying out the evidence of intelligent alien life. "We need to be prepared for anything," she said. "Our mission is to establish a new home, but we must do so with respect and caution. Let's figure out who or what else is out there." With a renewed sense of purpose, the team began preparing for the challenges ahead. The discovery of potential alien neighbors had added a new layer of complexity to their mission, but Sarah was determined to see it through. The future of humanity on Zeta-9 depended on it. The dense forests of Zeta-9 were alive with unfamiliar sounds as the exploration team ventured further from their base. Captain Sarah Mitchell led the way, her eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of movement. Lieutenant David Ross walked beside her, his hand never straying far from his holstered weapon. "Stay alert," Sarah warned the team. "We don't know what's out here." The undergrowth crackled underfoot, and strange bioluminescent plants cast an eerie glow. Suddenly, a rustling noise came from the trees ahead. The team halted, weapons raised. Out of the shadows emerged several tall, slender figures with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. Xalaxians. "Hold your fire!" Sarah commanded, trying to project calm. The Xalaxians moved with a fluid grace, their eyes fixed on the humans. One stepped forward, making a series of rapid clicking sounds. Dr. Elena Ramirez stepped up, her translator device at the ready. "Trying to establish communication," Elena murmured, fingers flying over the device. The clicking intensified, and the Xalaxian's body language shifted, becoming more agitated. The translator beeped and hummed, but the message remained garbled. "Get back!" David shouted as the Xalaxians raised their weapons, strange, organic-looking devices. A split second later, energy bolts flew through the air. The humans dove for cover, returning fire. "Retreat!" Sarah ordered. "Fall back to the base!" The team scrambled through the forest, dodging blasts and firing back sporadically. The Xalaxians pursued for a short distance before stopping, watching as the humans retreated. Breathless and shaken, the team made it back to the base. Sarah gathered everyone in the command tent. "Status report," she demanded. "Minor injuries," David reported, "but we're lucky it wasn't worse." Elena looked frustrated. "Their language is complex. It's going to take more time to decode it properly." Sarah rubbed her temples. "We need to figure this out. They're clearly advanced and see us as a threat. We need to communicate that we come in peace." "We should fortify our defenses," David suggested, "just in case they decide to attack." The next few days were tense. The team worked on enhancing the base's defenses while Elena and her team focused on the alien language. Every so often, the forest echoed with distant sounds that kept everyone on edge. Finally, Elena rushed into the command tent, her face lit with excitement. "I think I have a breakthrough. Their language is based on complex tonal patterns. We might be able to send a basic message." Sarah nodded. "Let's do it." Using the translator, Elena broadcasted a simple message. "We come in peace. Let's talk." Hours passed with no response. As night fell, the team kept a vigilant watch. Then, just before dawn, a group of Xalaxians appeared at the edge of the forest, holding up a glowing device. "Stay calm," Sarah instructed as she stepped forward, flanked by David and Elena. The Xalaxian leader, the one they had seen before, approached slowly, holding the device out. Elena activated the translator. "We heard your message," came the mechanical voice from the translator. "We feared you. Your arrival reminds us of past enemies." Sarah took a deep breath. "We are not your enemies. We seek to live here peacefully." The Xalaxian leader's eyes flickered. "We will listen, but trust must be earned." Sarah nodded. "Agreed. Let's start by talking." The two groups began a cautious exchange of information, each learning about the other's history and culture. It was a small step, but a crucial one toward mutual understanding. As the sun rose over Zeta-9, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. They had made contact, and with it, the possibility of a peaceful coexistence. But she knew it was just the beginning of a long journey. Days turned into weeks as the humans and Xalaxians worked to build a fragile peace. Communication became more effective, with Elena's translation efforts playing a key role. Captain Sarah Mitchell and the Xalaxian leader, called Zareth, met regularly to discuss potential collaborations and address mutual concerns. One morning, Elena burst into the command tent where Sarah and David were planning the day's activities. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, holding up a Xalaxian device they had been studying. Sarah frowned. "What is it?" Elena placed the device on the table and activated it. Holographic images appeared, showing scenes of war and destruction. Xalaxian cities in ruins, their people fighting against a technologically advanced enemy. "This is why they feared us," Elena explained. "The Xalaxians were nearly wiped out by a species called the Draconians. They see us as a potential new threat." David leaned closer to the hologram. "So they think we're like these Draconians?" Elena nodded. "Exactly. But there's more. The device contains detailed information about Draconian technology. If we study it, we might find ways to improve our defenses." Sarah stared at the images, feeling the weight of their implications. "We need to share this with Zareth. Maybe understanding their past will help build trust." Later that day, Sarah and Elena met with Zareth in a neutral zone between their territories. Sarah showed Zareth the holographic device. "We understand your fear now," Sarah said. "We want to learn from your experiences, not repeat the mistakes of the past." Zareth's eyes glowed with a mix of emotions. "The Draconians were ruthless. We lost much, but we survived. If you seek knowledge, we will share it, but know this, any betrayal will be met with our full force." Sarah nodded solemnly. "We understand. Let's work together for a better future." As the humans and Xalaxians continued to exchange knowledge, a new challenge arose. Within the human camp, a rogue faction led by Sergeant Mark Daniels grew increasingly restless. Daniels believed that the Xalaxians were a threat that needed to be neutralized for humanity to secure Zeta-9's resources. One night, David discovered Daniels and a few of his followers huddled in a secluded corner, whispering urgently. "What's going on here?" David demanded, stepping into the light. Daniels scowled. "We're taking action. We can't trust those aliens. We need to strike first." "That's madness," David snapped. "You'll start a war we can't win." "We can't win if we don't fight," Daniels retorted. "They're hiding something, and I intend to find out what." Realizing the gravity of the situation, David reported the conspiracy to Sarah. She immediately called a meeting with her loyal team members. "We have a serious problem," Sarah said. "Daniels is planning an attack on the Xalaxians. If he succeeds, it will destroy everything we've worked for." "We need to stop him," Elena insisted, "and we need to inform Zerath before it's too late." As night fell, Sarah and her team moved quickly to intercept Daniels. They found him and his followers arming themselves at the edge of the base. "Stand down, Daniels," Sarah ordered, her voice steely. Daniels sneered. "You're making a mistake, Captain. These aliens are going to wipe us out the first chance they get." "You're the one making a mistake," David countered. "You're risking all our lives." Tension crackled in the air as the two groups faced off. Before a shot could be fired, Zerath and a group of Xalaxians emerged from the shadows, weapons at the ready. "Your treachery is clear," Zerath said, his voice low and dangerous. "But we will not be the aggressors." "Everyone, lower your weapons," Sarah commanded. "We're not doing this." After a tense standoff, Daniels and his followers were disarmed and detained. Sarah turned to Zerath. "I'm sorry for this. I promise you we want peace." Zerath studied her for a long moment before nodding. "Trust is earned, Captain Mitchell. You have taken a step in the right direction." As dawn broke over Zeta-9, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and determination. The path to peace was fraught with danger, but they had navigated one of its most perilous turns. Now more than ever, she was committed to ensuring that humans and Xalaxians could share this world in harmony. With Daniels and his followers detained, Captain Sarah Mitchell knew the peace between humans and Xalaxians was still fragile. The rogue faction's actions had sowed seeds of mistrust, and it would take more than words to repair the damage. Sarah called a meeting with Zerath to discuss a plan for moving forward. They met in the neutral zone, where the air was thick with tension. "We cannot ignore what has happened," Zerath began, his eyes glowing with intensity. "How do we know there are not more like Daniels among you?" Sarah took a deep breath. "We must be transparent and work together. We propose joint patrols and shared security responsibilities. This way, we can ensure the safety of both our people." Zerath considered this for a moment. "Very well. We will try this, but any sign of treachery, and our response will be swift." Back at the base, Sarah assembled her team. "We need to show the Xalaxians that we are serious about peace. Joint patrols will be challenging, but it's necessary." David nodded. "I'll lead the first patrol. Let's pair each of our soldiers with a Xalaxian warrior." The joint patrols began the next day. At first, the interactions were stiff and wary, but gradually, the humans and Xalaxians started to understand each other better. They shared stories, learned about each other's cultures, and discovered common ground. One evening, while on patrol, David and his Xalaxian counterpart, Keln, spotted movement in the underbrush. They approached cautiously and discovered a wounded creature, unlike anything they had seen before. It was a native predator, injured and frightened. Keln extended a hand. "It is suffering. We must help it." David nodded. "Agreed. Let's bring it back to camp." Working together, they tended to the creature's wounds and released it back into the wild. This act of cooperation was a significant step in building trust. Meanwhile, back at the base, Dr. Elena Ramirez made a breakthrough. Using the information from the Xalaxian device, she and her team developed new technology that combined human and Xalaxian advancements. This technology had the potential to revolutionize their efforts to make Zeta-9 habitable. Elena presented her findings to Sarah and Zerath. "This is a prototype for a new energy source. It could provide clean, sustainable power for both our people." Zerath examined the device, impressed. "This is remarkable. It seems our collaboration is yielding great results." As the weeks passed, the bond between the humans and Xalaxians grew stronger. They celebrated their first joint festival, where they shared food, music, and traditions. It was a moment of unity that marked the beginning of a new era on Zeta-9. However, not everyone was content with the alliance. A small group of dissenters, both human and Xalaxian, conspired to sabotage the peace. They planned to destroy the new energy facility, hoping to reignite conflict. On the night of the planned attack, Sarah received a tip from an unlikely source, one of Daniel's former followers who had a change of heart. Sarah and David mobilized quickly, informing Zareth and organizing a joint security team. As they approached the facility, they spotted the saboteurs planting explosives. Sarah and Zareth led the charge, apprehending the culprits before they could do any damage. One of the saboteurs, a young Xalaxian, looked at Zareth with pleading eyes. "We feared losing our way of life. We thought this was the only way." Zareth's expression softened. "Fear can drive us to make terrible choices, but we must rise above it and choose the path of cooperation and peace." With the immediate threat neutralized, Sarah and Zareth addressed their people together, emphasizing the importance of unity and mutual respect. "Today we faced a challenge to our peace," Sarah said, "but together we overcame it. This is just the beginning of what we can achieve together." Zareth nodded. "Let this be a lesson to all. Our strength lies in our collaboration. We will build a future on Zeta-9 where both our species can thrive." As the sun rose over Zeta-9, casting a golden glow on the landscape, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. The journey had been fraught with peril, but they had laid the foundations for a peaceful coexistence. The future of Zeta-9 was bright, and it was a future built on trust, cooperation, and the shared dream of a new beginning.